I'm so excited. This show had so much depth in it, almost like the weight of an Olympic medal. There is so much to say when we look at the performance of others, but we have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. Today, we challenge, we encourage, and we empower you to start looking a little less into other people's lives with the scope of criticism, and we give you some tools to apply to your own life that'll help you champion everything you do. We're so excited yet again. Welcome back. This is our channel, Aspire Higher, with Charles and Ivana Bailey. And it is such an honor to be here, guys. We are so excited because number one, I don't know if you see this.
I'll talk about it.
But this is our second edition, our brand new book. How beautiful is this? If you didn't get it yet, what are you waiting for? I want you to click the link, grab your copy right now.
That's right.
It's still on pre-order. And we would love it if you supported us. This book is rich with wisdom, knowledge, and experience. So please grab a copy for someone else, grab a copy for your friends.
Man, grab 20 copies.
Grab a copy for your athletes or coaches, whatever you need, it's in here. Okay. So I hope that you find inspiration and empowerment throughout this journey. Now, today I'm really excited. We're going to talk, okay? We have such a beautiful time to talk about the Olympics.
Yeah.
It is 2024. The athletes have come a long way, and here we are. We are going to bridge the gap between behind the scenes, what goes on truly behind the scenes, and the expectations of what we have when we see the performances.
Yeah.
So we're going to tie it into life. We're going to tie it into maybe even applicable for your business, for your professional career, but it's all going to come together. Just you watch.
Absolutely.
Charles, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm well.
Yeah,
I'm tired.
Yeah, you've been traveling like always.
A lot.
Week after week after week. I miss you, but I'm glad that you're doing such a great job.
I'm here. It's funny. I had expectations for my summer.
Sure.
And it is not looking like
and that's okay. But
I mean,
in a good way.
Yes.
This is the stuff you pray for.
It is. And it's funny because I was on the plane and I was just writing something in short. Always be grateful during the process.
You have to.
A lot of people want to be grateful when they win.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to be grateful when they get the job or the salary increase. But being grateful when you don't have it is even more, you know? And even for this summer, I said, man, I'm not going to be working a lot. I'm going to be taking my time and building different courses. And then it was like call after call, booking after booking after booking after booking, email after email.
Can you be here?
And yet my heart was still grateful because I said, even if I had nothing, I'm still grateful for the opportunities that I did have, and I just want to stay conditioned for the time to come. So,
and then still being grateful when you have it.
Always.
One of the things
100%.
I always talk about, I literally say this to clients. It's amazing to me that we can ask God for things. He gives them to us.
Correct.
And then we're ungrateful because we got
every
them.
time.
Because we're more busy than we thought we wanted to be. Or it came with more than we thought it would.
Stress,
come with.
pressure,
right.
of course.
That's what we asked for.
It's
and
exactly
that's what
we
we're
asked for.
prepared for.
Thank you.
So just be grateful. But anyway, that's not the topic of the day. But nonetheless, we just hope that we can start off with a little bit of gratitude. So I'm grateful for what you're doing.
Thank
I am
you.
grateful for how you're doing it
Thank
and the fact that you're pushing and you're prevailing and you're making a great reputation for yourself because people are seeing the fullness of who you are. So fantastic. I'm truly grateful for that.
It.
But Olympics, man.
Woo!
Yeah.
Team USA. Team USA. Sorry.
We have people watching us from all over the world.
Teams all over the world. Global excitement. Let's just say that. Global excitement. No matter what, watch this.
Yeah.
No matter what. Every time the Olympics comes on, I am not just a fan during it.
Yeah, sure.
I've been a fan of those athletes prior. I've been a fan of their journey. I've been a part of their story. It is everything to be able to see these athletes throughout,
Yeah.
not just celebrate them at the top.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, when nobody knew their name.
And now you have experts. You got the Olympic experts that don't know anything about sports, and they're telling me about athletes. I'm like, come on, though. I knew about them since the third grade, though.
They watch one documentary, now they're experts, right?
They watch Sprint. So now, with that being said, and shout out to Netflix, you guys are really
that was a great show.
Wonderful with athletes. But with that being said,
you can sponsor this one too.
Please. With that being said, there are so many expectations that are placed on individuals.
Yeah.
Regardless of athletics, there are so many societal pressures. There are many gender. There's just so many different things when it comes to the scope of life that I feel can cap one's ability to just appreciate the journey.
Yeah.
I feel that when it comes to expectations, we as people, humanity, can be a little rigid when we don't understand that it's someone else's life. When you assign an expectation on someone, it can actually be to a detriment because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Sure.
I've seen so many times in life that even in my own life, I thought, okay, my expectation is here. It's always high, right? It's just high level achiever.
Right.
With that being said, I'll get really disappointed if I see someone else get what I have, or excuse me, you know what I'm trying to say.
I'm not jealous per se, but you're looking at the reality.
And I always said, but I don't know their story.
That's right.
I didn't work for what they have.
Come on, girl.
I didn't grind those many hours for what they've obtained. Right. So I always try to be careful when it comes to when I see someone that's doing well or at the top or even higher than the top, and I've learned to just say, wow, I can't even imagine what it took to get to that level. But I'll tell you what, I appreciate every step of their journey. And I appreciate even when they come down, you can't always stay there, but even when they come down, how their mindset is going to be even after.
And it's interesting because that leads right into one of the points I would love to make. And for you, I really listened to what Coach Ivana was saying because she's kind of leading into the reality that we don't understand the reality of people's stories. And a lot of times what will happen is we'll put ourselves in a seat of judgment and we'll act as though we have all the information when we don't have any information at all. And one of the most beautiful things is, for instance, going back to the Olympic year 2020.
Yes.
You remember what happened to Simone Biles?
Absolutely. I watched the whole documentary.
And not just the documentary, watched it unfurl, so to speak, in front of the whole entire world. And some of you listening to this, you may have even had your opinions about it. Some people don't even remember anymore. And that's how crazy it can be.
That's how fast it goes.
Now watch how crazy this goes. There are some biases that are in us. And sometimes we're not honest enough to address our own biases because we assume that we're initially and essentially right? And one of those is that, based on what you just said, for instance, is looking at an athlete at the platform they've attained and creating this super image of a human being.
Right.
The super image, the superimposed image almost, where we've put on them this
and they're not
cape.
Superheroes.
And that's my point. We put on them this cape. You're wearing USA. You're representing the whole entire country. Like, wait a second. No, you're not. Really, honestly, you're wearing the colors, but you're not a reflection of the entire country. And we will put these things on people that they themselves really can't live up to.
How?
But we will put this halo on them and say, now we judge them based on their performance.
Exactly. And then what happens when you don't perform?
And that's what I wanted to say.
2020 Olympics with Simone Biles, she made the decision.
Or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
it was a weird year, COVID year. Yeah.
She made a decision to actually withdraw from the Olympics. There are athletes that do this all the time. She's not the first, but because of her status and because she's literally America's favorite and we've lifted her up so high to only fall even harder, it is the hardest thing because I'm like, but we never really checked on if she was, number one, suicidal, if she was injured, if she...
We don't care.
We don't care. And that's true.
And that's just the bottom line. We don't care.
In sports, you really don't care because you're just like, you got to get the goal and you got to make sure you got it. And then we want to have something as people to talk about and celebrate.
You're winning it for me.
And that's a problem.
And that's a problem.
That's a major problem. You're winning it for me. Like, how does that sound? You're living vicariously through an image.
Absolutely.
Through an image that is still a human, that goes through emotions and has ups and downs and might be injured. There's so many different things. Injured internally and injured physically.
That's right.
There was a moment when she was training where she hit a barrier, a block here.
Yeah, mentally.
The same routine, the same exercises over and over
Yeah.
she was doing in practice
Sure.
and missing,
Yeah.
failing at
Yeah,
it.
sure.
And so once it enters here, and
Yeah.
I can relate to it, in athletics, there was a moment where I could not get over a specific hurdle.
Yeah.
And it came out of
this.
nowhere.
Yeah.
Like the anxiety of it, the grip and the fear. And I'm like, I've been training really my whole adult life for this
just
and
being honest.
adolescent life for this. And all of a sudden, I can't do what I've already been conditioned for,
been doing at
training
practice.
for, doing at practice with ease.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to the big stage, I would freeze at certain times in season.
Yeah.
Now, therapists, psychologists, good coaches, they'll extract the athlete from their games. They'll extract the athlete from their routine.
Right.
They'll change it and create a different stimulus
Absolutely.
to almost rewire the pathways.
Yes.
And with that being said, I found that a lot of athletes either succeeding, pulled out, withdrew from the Olympics, or even before that, we have championships and different games and meets all the time. When they withdraw, they force them to do a different stimulus.
100%.
It could be nature runs. It could be going somewhere opposite, completely out of the gym. I heard of an athlete that did it for 5 years, 5 years, and trained and trained and trained, kept going back into a new stimulus. And with that being said, won gold this year.
Yeah.
So there's something to this. There's something to this, but go ahead.
No, I was going to say, and not just athletics, because we're using this as the example as we always do, but this relates to you as not so super, you know what I mean, Olympian, but business owner, mom, dad, you know, employee. And there are moments where sometimes the place that you're in, the environment that you're in, has expectations of you that you didn't even set for yourself.
Right.
And so some of you may have even hit sales records, or you may have hit numbers that now everyone is expecting you to hit every single month, when it's not the reality. And we're facing a hard economy where the world right now is questioning what's going to happen in the next few days, not just the next few years. What's happening with the American dollar? What's happening with our culture and society, the election? There's so much going on that sometimes you have to say, I have to back up and recognize that these pressures that are put on me were actually put on me. They're not mine.
Come on.
And stay focused on your goal, which means that you may have a different path to get to the same point, but it's not going to look like the way everyone around you says you need to be doing it to get there.
That's right. That's right. That's so good. It reminds me also too of this book.
Yeah.
So our first edition, thank you for every supporter. Thank you so much globally that purchased our book and shared it. And now this new one, you know, I remember the journey.
Man.
I remember the journey, okay? So from 2016 Olympics to being in a position where employment was different, all the things that shaped the space to be able to be creative, to be able to be free, and to be able to do something different and not in the same 9-to-5 routine. So when that stimulus changes, things can birth.
Absolutely.
And this is a byproduct of those moments of heartache, disappointment, despair, frustrations. And now this is a part of legacy. This is something that we will always have to our name, and it's a blessing. So with that being said, there are people that are struggling with that time frame that doesn't always look glorious. It doesn't always look like the lights and the fame and the fortune, right? And I want to encourage you because we are human. And we go through, just like I'm sure you go through, right? We're not exempt at all, no matter what level an athlete is on, a business leader is on, a mom, a dad.
Or you think you're on.
Or you think you're on. You're not exempt. It's life. Trials and tribulations are real. It is your attitude and your perspective and your mindset that I believe can champion a space of not only grace, but of fruit. A fruit that lasts, you know? And I mentioned the book twice because it's important to us. And that was a time where, I mean, I was crushed. 2016 Olympic, crushed. But the fruit of being patient, the fruit of being able to be in a position to let myself heal, to let him heal, to be at a position where we're like, okay, it's a new trajectory for us. Athletics in this season has subsided. So now how can we best serve? Like that is a hard position. And I think for even with the Olympics, sometimes I've seen servitude strengthen the person's area of disappointment.
Mm-hmm.
So when you serve and you write and you scribe and you create a book, when you serve and you start creating new spaces, new courses, new businesses,
New vision.
when you serve and you start creating a new vision for your life, your children, your generations, that is a great level of understanding that you're human, and also too, no matter what life throws at you, you have the capacity to choose better and to choose differently.
Yeah.
And that's everything.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you taking the time to share that. And I'm sure that it impacted somebody incredibly deeply, because again, we always try to tell you that we've only aimed to be transparent and authentic before you, but to give of you the wisdom that we have. And there's so much more, because we're always learning. Life is not a place that you achieve and get to a place. You're constantly growing through. So I want to say thank you for sharing that, because it's true. A lot of people forget when they see the book, and you guys get excited sometimes with us and for us. We're grateful. But again, when we write these lessons that are in this book, that came with tears and years and fears and even jeers, right? Because sometimes when we would let people know we were writing it, you don't always get immediate support.
Correct.
But we knew we had to go through it, because there's a scripture in James that says that you're using what you've gone through to give encouragement to someone else.
That's right.
When they need it. So
That's right.
we were just staying focused on the mission. But going back to the Olympics and going back to the biases we have, one of the things that we have to make sure we express, going back to Simone Biles, is that she's the greatest of all times.
Amazing.
Like the greatest.
All time.
If you can't put respect on her name now, I mean, forgive me for offending you if you feel this, but you're dumb. Okay? Because she has literally proven herself time and time again. Now, I'm not going to go on a rant about Simone. What I'm trying to do is express a really, really solid point for all of us. Simone made a decision for herself, because she is herself, that would allow her to come back better. And she did it. And every person who was hating on her and jeering about, like literally using that word, everyone who had something to say that thought they were an expert, have nothing to say.
Correct.
But here's why I'm bringing this back, because I don't want to miss this. There are a few biases. One bias is called an anchoring effect, where we get one piece of information and we anchor everything that we think about a person or a place or a thing on that one piece of information. We don't have all the information at all.
That's right. Right.
We don't know how many times a Simone Biles or someone in your workforce or someone at your job went to a therapist for months because they were trying to figure this out. And the only recourse they had left was to take a break.
That's right. That's right.
We don't know if her coach and she, who, by the way, probably are the best tag team duo in the history of the Olympics, given all the history we know, sat down because they know each other so well and said, this is going to be the best course of action for us, so we can expect 4 years from now, you're still here.
And then we don't know the full story. So you got to understand, you have to be very strategic also with the information that you release. We know that in athletics. You can't always give everything.
And that's exactly right. What a great observation. And that's the other thing too, is sometimes we don't have all the information.
How?
And if you don't have all the information, then it's best to not draw a conclusion.
Thank you. Keep your mouth shut.
It's just best to not draw a conclusion. And go ahead.
Go ahead, real quick.
And I'm saying that because some of us, as we laugh about some of the jokes and memes you see on social media, jumping to conclusions can end so many authentic and great relationships and opportunities.
Right.
And it'll also make you eat crow, where you look back at the end of the day and you're like, yeah, see, I knew it. I knew it all along, which, by the way, is another bias.
Arrogance and pride,
It's another bias.
Yeah.
It's called hindsight bias. When we think we knew something because something good happened, when at first we were the ones saying, this'll never happen.
And they say it, right.
And then it's like, yeah, I knew it. That was all a part of the plan.
But that's like, that can apply to every single sport. Every single sport,
that
world championships, life, everything. Of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. I always knew he'd make it.
Yeah, I always knew.
Now that he's a millionaire in Shark Tank.
Now that they've made it. I always knew there was something special about you. I told your mama that time.
Right. And, it's interesting because I think, here's the cool part. Imagine you're at a play. Behind the curtain, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
You don't know the wardrobe changes. You don't know the costume prep. You have no idea. Like we were actually at a concert even.
Yeah.
Speaking of performing, we were at a concert and one of the stars never made it back out for the last set. And we had no idea what happened to him. We had such great expectation. We're like, we paid our good money to be here. And he didn't even come back out to perform. How dare he? found out in the media that he had tripped and fell and busted his face open and had to take months to recover from that and could not finish the tour.
Yeah.
So it's like, I felt really bad because I'm like, what is my expectation doing on a man and that is injured right now? Like that, it's so rude.
Because you didn't
and
have
I
information.
I didn't have the information. They didn't come out and say, everybody, I'm so sorry, but this star is not coming back out to perform anymore because he fell and he's severely injured. They didn't say anything.
Yeah.
The show went on.
Yeah.
The show went on.
Yeah.
And in the arts, the show must go on. It doesn't matter what happens behind the scenes. The show has to be continued. And the show of life is the same way. There are so many people at work right now that don't feel seen, that don't feel valued, that don't feel honored, respected, and loved. And they have to go into that job and do the same thing over and lifelessly over and over, or plastically over and over and over again. And the hardest thing is we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We have no idea if they could be suicidal. You have no idea if they could be bankrupt. You have no idea. And so I think the way that you treat others, whether you know them or you don't, is everything. The way you think about others is everything. Give people just a little bit more decency. Give that moment where you could be critical, just hold it. Hold it sometimes because you don't know the full story. And I just think that's wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting because that also goes back to another bias. It's the what is it called? The Dunning-Kruger effect. I think it's Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, remember, so one of my favorite books is called How Highly Effective People Speak. And it breaks down all these biases that we all have. And I read it for me because I'm honestly trying to make sure that I best prepare myself and position myself against biases that are innate in me. But I can't coach people through this unless I'm consciously doing the work. So I'm always researching. But this one in particular is when we have limited knowledge about a particular thing. When we have limited knowledge about a person or an activity or an event, but we create this knowledge in ourselves that really isn't there. We don't know anything about this, but we pretend that we know everything about it. And so sometimes that's the other thing. We would rather use our own flaws, our own biases to look at the circumstance and situation that we're seeing. And we're informed by all the things we've lived and seen rather than the facts or the reality of what's really going on. So we've painted this picture and created all this extensive knowledge in our brain based upon the connections we've had in our lives. And we assume that that's how it actually is. And we couldn't be further from the knowledge of the truth.
Correct.
We have no understanding.
Correct. I think when it comes to storytelling, it is so important to pay attention. The media has limited knowledge. They get information, they extract information, they'll even pursue information, right?
Sound bites.
But with that being said, those are just bites, not the whole pie.
It's never the whole pie.
And I made it my goal this year to learn more about other sports than just the ones that I love. I'm watching bouldering. I'm watching breaking, which breakdancing is their absolute Olympic sport. It's crazy. Fencing, swimming even more. Swimming's very relative to track and field when it comes to different distances. But with that being said, everybody had a story. And the funny thing is, the truth didn't come out until now about what their journey was. There's an athlete that, even male gymnastics, there was an athlete that they were talking about who lost his son, like died. And to be so young, under the age of 3, and then you're expected to compete and win gold, silver, or bronze, and then to show up. And sometimes with athletes, like, they will take all that pain and all that frustration and hurt, and they'll perform even greater. So you think, there's our superhero. They're so great. But they're competing at that level to prove even to themselves, I can survive this. This is all I have. And it has nothing to do with you, your audience, your following. It has nothing to do with that. It's to do with their lives. And so when I started realizing we've got to let go of the grip of expectation on others, the way that we see them, and hoping that, let's defy the expectation. No. Just support them. just be a support system for them. If you're at home, just cheer. Shut up and just cheer. You know what I'm saying? Don't write any mean comments when you see that she didn't qualify for the Olympics because she fell. Don't say anything because the guy, like whatever it is, just, you don't have the full picture.
Sure.
So don't act like you were there to create the puzzle.
And we don't always know, and we can't identify with that feeling of loss if we've never gone for anything. It's the funny thing.
You have no credibility in that area.
I've often said, it's successful people don't look at the failure of another successful person and make jokes and laugh, because they respect knowing what they went through because they've been there.
That's right.
When you have no foot in the door or no skin in the game, no experience, you never sacrificed for anything, you've never given your all to one thing, and you were this close and didn't get there, you have nothing to say.
Keep it shot.
So this is what I would encourage you. If you're not one of the people who is sincerely and intentionally pursuing something higher, if you're not one of the people who are sincerely putting everything you have on the line, risking it all, if you're not one of the people who believe in your dream so much that you took out your life savings so you can invest in yourself because you believed in yourself that much, especially if you felt like no one else believed in you, if you're not one of those people, then be quiet. Because this is not to insult anyone. This is me saying, because I'm daring you, you have an option here. You have a choice here. And this is what we do. We push people to set higher aspirations. You can either be one of those people who are keyboard warriors or couch champions, literally house All-American, or you can get up, invest in yourself, or at the very least, invest in someone else. Until then, you're just full of hot air.
Oh man.
And this is not me being mean.
Wasn't meant to be a comedy,
but this is what I do. This is why my clients get to where they get. I'm telling you the honest truth, guys. This is what we do.
Couch champions.
Because we want to see you thrive. But the people who are trying, we can do one thing and one thing only. That is this. At least you're giving it a shot.
Yeah.
Because this is hard.
Yes.
And it doesn't get easier.
No.
And even when you do find success, the pressure gets greater.
Yeah.
So that's also why you have to be secure in yourself.
100%. And if you lose yourself in the process, it's okay to withdraw.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good point. Withdrawing is not the same thing as quitting.
That's right.
Okay, Simone Biles didn't quit.
That's right.
Right? Let's just be clear.
She was still training
Let's
every
just
day.
be clear. There were other athletes. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, GOAT in track and field, beautiful woman. And in her races with Bobby Kersee, her coach, they are strategic.
It's
if
all
the world
strategy.
is expecting another broken record in the 400 hurdles and she decides to run the 400 straight and whoop everybody's butt and then skip one a year for championship.
That is called strategy.
Strategy.
You have to build.
Strategy. Even lane assignments. Strategy.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that as well.
So with that being said, you don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah.
You definitely don't know what these athletes are going through. You don't know what people, maybe even around you, are going through, because in life, we tend to be selfish. In life, we tend to be so single visioned that we don't have time to even look at the visions of other people or care.
Yeah.
My challenge to you is start caring a little bit more. Maybe look at this season of our Olympic season. This is a rising season, right? We have the election. Everything's rising to a point of pressure, of like performance, of it's just pressure everywhere. Microsoft happened, pressure. What are we gonna do? One of the greatest things that just happened to me at the airport, it was so cool. Talked to a manager at Delta. I asked her a couple of things about if you can reroute my flight, that'd be great. Yeah. If not, 2 days, I'll stay at the airport, hotel. Doesn't matter to me, right? Yeah. I'm fine. I'll lounge it up. Yeah. But with that being said, she pulled me to the side and she was like, "Why are you so nice to us?" Yeah. And I'm like, "You were nice to the lady coming in. You were nice to the lady when they said that your flight was canceled and delayed. You were nice." And I said, "Because you can't control my situation.
What you mean?
You can't even control the plane.
No.
The least I can do is be respectful and nice to you because that's my job. Because that's how I would hope to be treated if I was in your job. this woman not only escorted me to the front, but she was like, we're going to make sure that you have first class on this flight and this.
Yeah, sure.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about the result of this. I'm
No.
talking about my actions.
Yeah, absolutely. What you can control. That's the bottom line.
You can't control all these other factors. So the one thing you absolutely can control is in here and here. So if you don't want to be a couch champ, what did you call something with the hot potato something?
Oh, a house all-American.
How killed. Hashtag couch champ. Shout out to the couch champions right now. Shout out to the house all-Americans right now.
I'm good for it.
It's messed up, but it's true.
Yeah, just keeping it real.
And we speak to you real quick and we just say, just try a little less. Like try a little less hard to be critical and to be so demanding of people in their lives that you have no idea about. Yeah. And start to look at your own life.
That's right.
And maybe be a little bit more critical there and start saying, what am I not doing right? What can I do better? What can I stop talking about? Gossip is real. Man. What can we're not even get into that.
That's another show.
Mind your business.
And mind your mouth.
There we go again. So you just got to keep adding. It just keeps adding. Mind your business.
Yeah.
And get our book.
But I can't end the show right now because I'm not. There's one more thing that we have to talk about, and that's for those who have stuck with us through the show, which we're really proud of you for doing so, is because we're not going to let everyone off the hook. We talked about the people who talk and who have biases and et cetera, whatever. But there is also a difference between expectation and standards. The Olympics is based off of one thing, standards. The only reason why these people are there is because they hit the standard, which means they meet the standard. Right. And there are different standards for different situations. Correct. Hear me clearly, because there are some people at the Olympics that didn't actually hit the Olympic standard. Right, but their country didn't have any other athlete, so they allowed them to compete because they actually met the championship standard for their country. Right. You can do that. Right. That's how it works. That's how we see the Olympics. Mm-hmm. So I want to say this because the question we have to ask then is, are we judging the world by our expectations or by standards? Are we judging ourselves by the other people's expectations or by standards? Because a standard is something that should be met because of the level of character that we possess or the other person we're expecting whatever it is from possesses. Right. But if we are setting expectations above the standard, then we are actually missing the point.
I was immediately, whenever you say something, I'm trying to apply it to my life. And I remember one of the standards is like, get a good education, right? Mm-hmm. That's a family pressure and it's a norm, I should say.
That's more of an expectation.
But the expectation is, I need you to get your master's. I need you to get your bachelor's. I need you to go to the Olympics. Those are expectations that were placed, right? You. So for me, the standard is go to school, get a good education.
Educate yourself, okay.
Expectation takes it a little bit further and makes almost like the, I don't know, just like the possible, because it's possible.
It's possible.
It's obviously possible for these athletes.
But
it's
highly improbable, right?
Right. So, and I don't even know the data analysis of what percentage of athletes actually make it to the Olympics.
The Olympics is like 0.0.
Is it 0.1 or 0.3? Okay.
Like it's 1% going to NCAA Division I schools. Okay. And out of that, it's like 0.01 of all athletes.
Of all athletes.
At that place.
0.01.
And you have to think we're talking about different events.
Oh my gosh. Basketball, fencing, like.
In the 100 meters, you're talking 16, is it, that win or something like that? 16 or 24, whatever it is.
Right.
But there are 8 billion people on the earth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like let's
point zero.
I mean, it's probably point. Yeah, it's probably 0.0. We'll look that up. We'll have our producer look it up.
But with that being, I don't even know where I was going.
Put an asterisk. Here's the actual stat. Go ahead.
I'll say this: when the pressures that I face, even now, there's pressures on me now. But when I started feeling those type of pressures, I felt like it was like caving in on me, and I felt like, how do I get out of what they want into what I need and what I deserve and what I want, right? Those are 3 totally different things. And so I started learning that I like to achieve and I like to obtain. I like to get to that top summation experience, right? Yeah. But I don't want to have other people's opinions, labels, expectations, pressures, all on me. So I need to silence the voice, and I need to go behind the scenes of my own life. And I need to figure out, what am I programmed to do best? What can I leave legacy best in? And how can I inspire other people to achieve a mindset that's higher, confidence that's stronger, and a life that's filled with purpose? And so when I started looking like that and taking myself out, wins, no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that's a beautiful place to end this. It's not necessarily perfectly on topic, but it is a great way to conclude the thought. And that is, sometimes we have to be conscious as well, though, one, of who we're letting speak into our life, who we are surrounding ourselves with, but lastly, the things we're putting ourselves into, because some of the expectations only came about because we volunteered ourselves. So we have to be conscious of that as well. So my wife made an incredible point. Sometimes you have to pull away from everything so that you can assess, okay, what's important? Like, I'm committed to a family, or if I'm married, that's my priority. If this is my business, this is my priority. If it's not those things, then I don't owe anything to it. And that's how I live my life. I have maybe 2 or 3 categories that I know for a fact that I'm called to, and I have to, by the standard, meet. And everything else, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if it's an opinion. I don't care if it's a perspective. I don't care if it's an expectation. And I don't even care when people don't understand me. One of the greatest things you could do as you mature in life is not live by the need to be understood. Jay Shetty said it better. He said it better than I could. He said, if there's one thing in your entire life you've grown and matured and said you don't need more than anything else, and he said, to be understood. Because I understand what I'm here for. I understand my mission. I understand the vision, and I'm going to get it because I get one chance at this. And I challenge you, think like an Olympian. You get one shot at this. So it doesn't matter if no one else understands your plan, your strategy, your vision, but as long as you and your coach, in my case, God's my coach, I know what the vision is. I know what the plan is. They don't have to know. And truth be told, we don't want them to know, because it's better to keep some things to yourself so you can actually remain being yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this show. Coach, you have anything else you want to add before we leave? Thank you guys for joining us yet again on another episode of Aspire Higher with Charles and Ivana Bailey. Sorry we had to give you a little bit of tough love, but it is what it is, and we appreciate you because we know if you know us, you expect that. Please get our second edition of this book. By the way, it was Amazon's number one top seller and new release in Christian business and growth.
That's so exciting.
So just to let you know that people really have been responding to it. Of course, the numbers change now, but we're just saying we're grateful to have done it, and we couldn't have done it without those of you who have supported. And those of you who have not gotten it yet, get it. And like I said earlier, I meant it. Don't just get one copy. Get 5, get 10, get 20. Get it for your whole staff. Get it for your team. And then bring us in to speak, because we'll leave them encouraged and challenged. Remember, we're professional keynote speakers. If you want to learn more about us, you can find us through our Speakers Bureau, which is All American Speakers Bureau, AAE, or of course our website, which you'll see has been posted really all on this show, aspirehigherlife.com, aspirehigherlife.com. Thanks, Coach. Great job.
Of course.
Till next time.
Go Team USA.